Napoleon, the man who defeated the world and himself, the curse of destiny. There are men who are born into power, and there are men who take it. But only one man in history rose from nothing, shook the entire world, and then lost everything because of his own ambition. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte, and this is not just a story about war. This is a story about a man who tried to conquer destiny itself. Part 1. The outsider who was never meant to win. Napoleon was not supposed to matter. He was born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, a place the French barely respected. His family had noble roots, but no real power. When he was sent to mainland France for military school, he wasn't welcomed. He was mocked. His accent was strange. His French was awkward. His name sounded foreign. He was poor, quiet, and completely alone. But isolation can do one of two things to a person. It can break them, or it can build something dangerous. While other boys laughed and played, Napoleon disappeared into books. He studied Alexander the Great. He memorized Julius Caesar. He obsessed over war not as chaos, but as a system, a game, a puzzle. And in his mind, a belief began to grow. If I cannot belong to this world, I will rule it. Part 2. The moment the world noticed. For years, Napoleon was invisible. Just another young artillery officer. Until 1793. The city of Toulon had fallen into enemy hands. French forces were failing. Commanders hesitated. But Napoleon saw something they didn't. A weakness. Not in the army, but in the position. He proposed a bold plan. Control the high ground, dominate with artillery, break the enemy from distance. They gave him a chance, and he didn't hesitate. He personally directed cannons under fire. He moved with precision, speed, clarity, and when the battle ended, Toulon fell. Napoleon didn't just win. He proved something terrifying. He saw the battlefield differently than everyone else. From that moment on, his name began to spread, not as a soldier, but as a weapon. Part 3. The general who moved faster than fear. War after war, victory after victory. But Napoleon didn't just defeat armies, he destroyed expectations during the Italian campaign. His army was starving, poorly equipped, outnumbered. Any normal general would retreat. Napoleon attacked. He moved faster than anyone thought possible. He split enemy forces before they could unite. He struck where no one expected. His enemies were confused, then terrified, then broken. Soldiers began calling him the Little Corporal, not because of his rank, but because he fought like one of them. He ate with them, marched with them, bled with them, and they followed him into hell. Part 4. The crown he took for himself. By 1804, Napoleon had already changed France, but that wasn't enough. He didn't want influence, he wanted permanence. So inside the Grand Cathedral of Notre Dame Cathedral, something unprecedented happened. In front of Pope Pius VII, Napoleon did the unthinkable. He took the crown and placed it on his own head. No king had done this. No ruler had dared. It was more than arrogance. It was a declaration. I was not given power. I took it, and in that moment, Napoleon was no longer a man rising. He was a man who believed he could not fall. Part 5. Austerlitz, the perfect victory. If there was one moment where Napoleon touched perfection, it was the Battle of Austerlitz. He faced a larger army, stronger numbers, better position. So he did something insane. He pretended to be weak. He abandoned high ground. He let the enemy think they were winning. They advanced confident, exactly as he planned. Then, at the perfect moment, Napoleon struck the center. Hard, fast, decisive. The enemy army collapsed in hours. It wasn't just a victory. It was a masterpiece. Afterward, Napoleon told his soldiers, "Just say you were at Austerlitz, and people will call you heroes." At that point, Europe didn't just fear him. It believed he was unstoppable. Unstoppable. Part 6. The beginning of the end. But here's the truth history repeats. No one is unstoppable, especially not the ones who believe they are. In 1812, Napoleon made the decision that would destroy everything. He invaded Russia with over 600,000 men, the largest army the world had ever seen. His goal: force Alexander I of Russia into submission. But Russia didn't fight like other nations. They retreated, burned cities, destroyed supplies, left nothing behind. Napoleon marched deeper and deeper into emptiness until he reached Moscow. But it wasn't a victory, it was a trap. The city was abandoned, burning, useless, and then winter came. Winter came, Part 7, when nature became his enemy. Cold, hunger, silence. The Grand Army didn't collapse in battle, it dissolved. Men froze where they stood. Horses died in the snow. Supply lines vanished. Every step back became a nightmare. Ambushes in the dark. Frostbite, starvation. From 600,000 men, only a fraction returned. Napoleon had defeated every army in Europe, but he could not defeat winter. And for the first time, the world saw him bleed. Part 8. The Fall and the Impossible Return. After Russia, everything changed. Europe united against him. One by one, his victories disappeared. Until finally, Paris fell. In 1814, Napoleon was forced to abdicate, exiled to the island of Elba, a small island. For a man who once ruled continents, that should have been the end. But Napoleon was not finished. Less than a year later, he escaped, returned to France, and something unbelievable happened. Soldiers sent to arrest him joined him instead. He stood before them and said, "If any of you would kill your emperor, here I am." No one fired. Instead, they followed him. Again. Part 9. The Last Gamble. Waterloo. The world held its breath. Napoleon had returned. But this time, there would be no second chance. At the Battle of Waterloo, everything went wrong. Rain slowed his army. Cannons failed in mud. Commands were delayed. And then, Prussian forces arrived. Napoleon fought to the end. But this time, genius wasn't enough. Luck was gone. And destiny had made its decision. Final. Part. The man who could not escape himself. Napoleon was exiled again, this time to St. Helena, far away. No army, no empire, no second return, just silence and memory. He died in 1821, alone. But here's the question history still asks: was Napoleon great because he conquered the world? Or tragic because he could not conquer himself? Because in the end, it wasn't Europe that defeated him. It wasn't Russia. It wasn't even fate. It was ambition, unchecked, unstoppable, unforgiving. Conclusion. The warning history left behind. Napoleon proved something terrifying. One man, with enough will, can change the world. But his life also proved something even more important. The higher you rise, the more dangerous your fall becomes, because sometimes the greatest enemy you will ever face is the version of yourself that believes it cannot lose.